Today in the ancient Indian history, we are going to discuss Gupta's art and architecture. The art and architecture of the Gupta's period. Gupta's age is considered as a golden age for the art and architecture. This we already discussed that. That was a golden age. What covers in the art and architecture? In art, it covers literature. Literature will comes under the art. Originally, there are 64 arts. Lalita Kalalu, 64 arts. Among them, literature was one of that. Why we are going to concentrate more on the Gupta's art and architecture? There is no question paper without question of the Gupta's art and architecture. It is most important. In that art, we can also cover sculpture of the Gupta's period. Sculpture of the Gupta's period. And also we can cover paintings of the Gupta's period. Paintings. So all these aspects comes under the pillars. All these comes under the art. Next, you know that architecture. Architecture is the construction of buildings, construction of the temples, mainly Gupta's period. Gupta's, they started structural temples. Nagara, Dravida, Vesara. Nagara style of architecture. Dravidian style of architecture. And Vesara style of architecture. These architectural styles are developed or started or born during the time of the Gupta period. So, this is the introduction of the architecture, art and architecture. Coming to that point, first coming to the literature of the Gupta's period. In the literature of the Gupta's period was known as a golden age of India. Golden age of India for the cultural development, especially for the cultural development. It is considered as the one of the supreme and most outstanding time of the cultural development. Gupta's kings, they patronized Sanskrit. Gupta's main language, they patronized the language was the Sanskrit. Official language was the Sanskrit of that period. They issued inscriptions in the Sanskrit language. Inscriptions were also issued in Sanskrit language. And official language, court language, official court language was also Sanskrit of the Gupta's period. So Gupta rulers, they patronized the Sanskrit. And they generously helped to the Sanskrit scholars. They generously helped to the Sanskrit scholars and also Sanskrit poets. So, eventually, Sanskrit language became the language of cultured and educated people. During the time of the Gupta's period, this Sanskrit language, it became language of the cultured people and a language of the educated people. For the cultural development and also for the education purpose, there occurred Nalanda University, the famous Nalanda University. In the Nalanda University, teachers, they would teach Sanskrit. So Sanskrit was the language of both cultural aspects and also educational aspects. Along with this, coming to the point of the Indian popular epics. Indian popular epics are Mahabharata and Ramayana. This Mahabharata and Ramayana, they came into book form. They came into the complete book form during the time of the Gupta's period. Before the Gupta's period, Vedic literature or Puranas All these are on the oral form. Oral forms. This oral form of the epics, oral form of the Vedic literature, some oral forms of the Puranas, they converted into the book form. So this Mahabharata and Ramayana, these were injected with the didactic sections on religion and morality and elevated to the status of sacred literature. They elevated the status of the sacred literature. People also they followed Mahabharata. People also they followed Ramayana. Mahabharata and Ramayana. What was the purpose of the learning of epics of that period? The main purpose of the learning of epics of that period to attain 4 goals of the life. To attain 4 goals of life. What are those 4 goals of the life? These are called as Purusharthas. 4 goals of the life are called as Purusharthas. Purusharthas are the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. One should complete all these goals in the life. One should follow the Dhamma, and each and every person, Artha means each and every person, they would be in the financial activities. Kama decides moksha, final stage of the humankind, that is attainment of the moksha. So Puranas are, epics are mainly help to attain these 4 goals of the humankind of that period. These 4 goals became very popular during the Gupta's period. And the heroes of the epics like Krishna, Rama. Krishna, he was hero of the Mahabharata. Rama was the hero of the Ramayana. People started to worship Krishna and Rama. That is Bhagavatism. Already we discussed that during the time of the religion of Guptas. The religion of the Guptas, they popularized the Bhagavatism. Bhagavatism is worship of Krishna and Rama. Krishna and Rama. This is also part of the Vaishnavism. Vaishnavism, the main purpose of the Vaishnavism is, the main gods of the Vaishnavism, deities of the Vaishnavism is Krishna and Rama. And also incarnations. Bhagavatism means 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu. 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu. That is Dasavatara theory. So Krishna and Rama, these were incorporated in the Vaishnavism. Krishna and Rama, these incorporated in the Vaishnavism as avatars of the Lord Vishnu. These are the avatars of the Lord Vishnu in the famous Dasavatara theory. Incarnations means avatars. The concept of the incarnations. The concept of the incarnations was useful in submitting local deities and cults. Subsuming the local deities and cults. That was one aspect of the Gupta's period. And coming to the point of the Gupta's period, books and writers. In the literature, we will come across to the books and writers of the Gupta's period. Coming to the point of the books and writers of the Gupta's period, they patronized Gupta rulers, they patronized Sanskrit, Mahabharata. Already we discussed that Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Puranas. Puranas completed. All the 18 Puranas are completed by the Gupta's period. All 18 Puranas were completed by the Gupta's period. Along with this, epigraphical writings also done. Epigraphical writings. There are two most important persons, those who belongs to the epigraphical inscriptions. Vatsabhatti, one person, and Harisena. Vatsabhatti and Harisena. These two are the epigraphical writers. Epigraphical writers means writing on the rocks, inscriptional writers. Eulogist, these are also called as eulogist. First come across to the writers of this period, poets of this period. The famous poet is called as Kalidas. Kalidas, he was called as Mahakavi Kalidas. Mahakavi, great poet. Mahakavi Kalidas, great poet of the Gupta's period. Great poet of the Gupta's period. He was a classical Sanskrit writer, extensively considered as the greatest poet and dramatist of the Gupta's period. He wrote different dramas. Mahakavi Kalidas. He was very famous in the writing of dramas. Especially he concentrated on the love stories. In the English literature, coming to the point of the English literature, the famous personality in the English literature to write the dramas, he was Shakespeare. That's why Kalidas is called as Indian Shakespeare. In India, Kalidas is famous for the writing of Sanskrit dramas. In English, Shakespeare, he was very popular for the writing of the dramas, English dramas. That's why Kalidas is called as Indian Shakespeare. So like these titles, Indian Shakespeare, Indian Machiavelli, Indian Einstein, all these titles were given by V.A. Smith, a person called V.A. Smith. V.A. Smith, he was English writer. Originally, he was ICS officer of that period, ICS officer. He worked as a ICS officer in India, V.A. Smith. And he wrote a book on the ancient Indian history. V.A. Smith wrote a book on ancient Indian history. He was a retired ICS officer. In this book, he called Kalidas as Indian Shakespeare, and Kautilya is called as Indian Machiavelli, Samudragupta is called as Indian Napoleon, Acharya Nagarjuna is called as Indian Einstein, and also Brahmagupta is considered as Indian Newton. Like that, he gave the titles. He compared Indians with Europeans. So Mahakavi Kalidas is considered as Indian Shakespeare. This is 100% very, very important question. He wrote 6 major works. Out of these 6 major works of the Mahakavi Kalidas, first 3, Abhignana Sakuntala, Vikramorvasi, Malavikagnimitra. These 2 are called as dramas. Natakatraya. These are called as Natakatraya. Abhignana Sakuntala, Vikramorvasi, Malavikagnimitra. These are called as Natakatraya. 3 dramas were written by the Kalidas. Coming to the point of one by one. First, Abhignana Sakuntala. Abhignana Sakuntala, it was a great work of the Mahakavi Kalidas. One of the greatest Sanskrit works. It was a love story of Dushyanta. It was a love story of Dushyanta, a king. Dushyanta, he was a king of Hastinapura. Dushyanta, he was a king of Hastinapura. And Sekuntala. Dushyanta and Sekuntala. Sekuntala, she was a daughter of Vishwamitra. She was daughter of Vishwamitra with Menaka, Apsarasa Menaka. Vishwamitra and Apsarasa Menaka. This love story. Sekuntala, she was daughter of the Vishwamitra and Apsarasa Menaka. So love story of these two personalities. It was the Abhignana Sakuntala. Coming to this point, Abhignana Sakuntala. Abhignana Sakuntala. It was the first Sanskrit work. First Sanskrit work which was translated into the European languages. Translated into European languages. First Sanskrit work which has been translated into the European languages. It was first translated into English. It was first translated into English by Sir William Jones. Sir William Jones. Sir William Jones translated Abhignana Sakuntala into English in 1784. Sir William Jones, he was a Indologist. He was called as Indologist. First Indologist in India. What is meant by Indology? Remember, Indology means study of Indian history and culture. Study of Indian history and culture. Study of Indian history and culture is called as Indology. Sir William Jones, he was first Indology in 1783. In the year 1783, Sir William Jones, he established Asiatic Society of Bengal. This is also called as Asiatic Society of Calcutta. Either Asiatic Society of Calcutta or Asiatic Society of Bengal was established by the Sir William Jones in 1783. This society worked for the protection of Indian manuscripts, protection of the Indian writings, Sanskrit writings. This institution collected Indian Sanskrit writings, started translation of the Indian writings. So that's why Sir William Jones, he was called as father of Indology in India. Remember, this is most important. Who was father of Indology? Father of Indology, Sir William Jones. Sir William Jones. So he translated first time Abhignana Sakuntala into English. Same school, belongs to the same school. One another person, Charles Wilkins, he translated first time Bhagavad Gita into English. Abhignana Sakuntala first time translated into English by the William Jones. Bhagavad Gita first time translated into English by the Charles Wilkins. So this you remember. All these are most important points regarding Sir William Jones. You can find many question papers. It is 100% question for the examinations. Next to After this, after the Abhignana Sakuntala, Vikramorvasi, next work, another work. Vikramorvasi, a story of a king and Apsarasa Urvasi. King Pururuva, a king, Indian king Pururuva, he fell in love with Urvasi, Apsarasa Urvasi. So love story of these two is called as Vikramorvasi. Vikramorvasi. Love story of Pururava and Urvasi. Next, Malavikagni-mitra. Another work is Malavikagni-mitra. Malavikagni-mitra. So in this name, in the title of this book, there are two names. In the title of this book, there are two names. Malavika, one name. Agnimitra, another name. Love story of Malavika and Agnimitra. It is a love story of Malavika and Agnimitra. Who was Malavika? Malavika, she was courtesan. Courtesan. Originally princess. Even though she was a princess, but she was working under the queen. She was working under the queen, Malavika. And Malavika, sister of Madhavasena. She was a sister of Madhavasena. Malavika, she was sister of Madhavasena. Madhavasena, who was king of Malwa. He was king of Malwa. During the time of the Shungas ruling in India, when Shungas ruled India, there occurred a revolt in Vidisha kingdom. Revolt in Vidisha. That Vidisha revolt was suppressed by the Agnimitra. It was suppressed by Agnimitra. Agnimitra, he was a son of Pushyamitra Shunga. Agnimitra was son of Pushyamitra Shunga. Shunga prince. Pushyamitra Shunga. Agnimitra, he was son of Pushyamitra Shunga. Son of the Pushyamitra Shunga. So, during the time of the Pushyamitra Shunga period, there occurred a revolt in Vidisha kingdom. So to suppress that revolt, Agnimitra was sent by Pushyamitra Shunga. Agnimitra was sent by the Pushyamitra Shunga. In that context, Agnimitra, he suppressed that revolt and also he became head of the Vidisha kingdom. By that time, he fell in love with Malavika. That was a historical story. Remember one thing, Kalidas wrote many books. Out of the many books, Kalidas' historical work was only one book. This asked in the earlier examination. Come back to the Kalidas. Going to all the books of the Kalidas. Abhignana Sakuntala, Vikramorvasi, Malavikagni-mitra, Kumara Sambhavam, Meghadutam and Raghuvamsam. So whereas all these works, except Malavikagni-mitra, all these works connected with either Puranas or epics. See once. Abhignana Sakuntala has been taken from the Mahabharata. Vikramorvasi has been taken from the Mahabharata. Kumara Sambhavam, it has been taken from the Mahabharata. It was taken from the Puranas. Meghaduta, it is taken from the Mahabharata. Raghuvamsam, it is taken from the Ramayana. Like that, either Puranas or epics, except Malavikagni-mitra. So, like this analysis needed for the examination, you need to understand this. Once in the UPSC examination, they asked the question, which of the following work of Mahakavi Kalidas was nowhere related to the either Puranas or epics? They gave these four options. Answer is Malavika Agnimitra. Okay? That you have to remember. In the Malavika Agnimitra, another important thing in the Malavika Agnimitra, it also speaks about music. Some ragas were also mentioned in the Malavika Agnimitra, like Adi Ragam, Adi, Laya, and Swara, Lalita. So like this, some ragas, swaras and ragas were mentioned in the Malavika Agnimitra. What is raga? What is swara? Coming to the point of the music, it has 7 swaras. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni. Sarigama Padani. 7 swaras. Sajjamu, Rishabhamu, Gandharvamu, Madhyamamu, Panchamamu, Daivatvamu, Nishadamu. There are 7 swaras. Out of these 7 swaras, you need to make one raga. If you want to make one raga, compulsory in the Indian tradition, according to the Indian music tradition, you need to take at least 5 swaras to make a raga. 5 swaras to make a raga, either Adi Ragam or Lalita Ragam, whatever it may be the raga. Raga is the combination of swaras, that you remember. Raga is the combination of swaras. And remember one thing, a record in the Indian classical literature. There are 2 classical literatures of India. One is Carnatic music, classical musics in India. Carnatic music and Hindustani music. Carnatic music is completely devotional. Hindustani is a mixer, both mixing, Karnataka and Hindustani. Karnataka is very popular in South India. Hindustani is very popular in North India. In the Carnatic music, Mangalampalli Balamurali Krishna, he created a raga with 4 swaras. That is record in the Indian classical music, in the history of the Indian classical music. You remember that. Next to Kumara Sambhavam, another work of the Kalidas. Kumara Sambhavam means the birth of the Kumara, the birth of Kumara Swami. But this Kumara Sambhavam ends with the birth of Kumara Swami. But it speaks about the love story of Shiva and Parvati. Here also he made love story of Shiva and Parvati. Kumara Sambhavam. It deals with the love story of Shiva and Parvati, ends with the birth of Kumaraswamy. So here the writer Kalidas, he explained about Himalayas. Why he explained about the Himalayas? Himalayas are the abode of Lord Shiva, Kailasagiri, where Shiva used to live. Shiva used to live at Kailasagiri. Kailasagiri is the, what is that? Suppose coming to the point of these are the Himalayas. In the middle Himalayas, topmost point of the middle Himalayas above the Jammu and Kashmir is called as Kailasagiri. It was a place of Lord Shiva. If you want to visit Lord Shiva, you can go to the Kailasagiri. So there he explained about the Himalayas. After this, another work of the Kalidas, that is Meghadutam. Meghadutam is a Meghaduta. Megha is cloud. Megha means cloud. Duta means ambassador. Ambassador, the person who carries message, the person who carries message is called as ambassador. Megha played a role of ambassador. Megha played a role of ambassador. This was the love story of Yaksha and his wife. Yaksha and his wife was living at Alakapuri. And Yaksha, he was a king. Yaksha, he was banished by his master for 1 year. He banished by his master by 1 year to the remote areas. While he was living in the remote area, he was thinking about his wife. He had more affection, more love with his wife. While he was far away from his wife, he wanted to send his love, his affection through the words to his wife. For that, how he can send? Because by that time there were no cell, or there were no cells, or there were no network like a present Geo or Idea, or these networks are not there by that time in the ancient period. How he can send the message? So he selected cloud, because one cloud is going towards the Alakapuri, and he called that cloud. He expressed all his grievances, all his affection towards his wife, and that Megha or cloud went to the Alakapuri, sent his message to the wife. That was the love story. That was also love story. Next to another important book, that was the epic poems of Raghuvamsa. Raghuvamsa, it is a book, speaks about 30 kings, not only one king, 30 kings. All these 30 kings belongs to the Raghu dynasty. That is Lord Rama dynasty. So this is about all the books of Mahakavi Kalidas. After the Kalidas, the next important personality during the time of the Gupta's period, Visakadatta. Visakadatta wrote 2 books. Mudra Rakshasam, one book, Mudra Rakshasam, and another book he wrote, Devi Chandraguptam. Mudra Rakshasam and Devi Chandraguptam. 2 books were written by the Visakadatta. Coming to this, first Mudra Rakshasam. Mudra Rakshasam means a ring of a demon. Mudra Rakshasam, that means a ring of a demon, and recites the ascent of Chandragupta Maurya to the throne. It speaks about the Chandragupta Maurya, how he ascended the throne with the help of Kautilya. How Kautilya helped to the Chandragupta Maurya to ascend the throne. That was the story of Mudra Rakshasa. But here, who is Rakshasa? Coming to the point of this Rakshasa, he was a minister, Rakshasa minister, who worked under the Nanda kings. He worked under the Nanda kings. It was a created story. Less than the fractions, it was less than the fictional, but it was a created story. It narrates the ascent of the Chandragupta Maurya, and this is a book which means ring of the demon. Demon is the Rakshasa, minister of the Nanda. And this Rakshasa, he wanted to kill at any time Chandragupta Maurya. To kill the Chandragupta Maurya, this ruler Rakshasa, this minister, he created, he made Vishakanya. He made Vishakanya. She was very beautiful. So to protect Chandragupta Maurya from the hands of the Rakshasa, this Kautilya, he used to give a small dose of the poison, in giving to the food of the Chandragupta Maurya to what is that, to do not affect the Vishakanyas by the Chandragupta Maurya. That means Vishakanya, even though Vishakanya goes to the Chandragupta Maurya would not affect by the Vishakanya. This already we discussed during the time of the Chandragupta Maurya period. That was a story, Bindusara, birth of the Bindusara story. And another important thing of this Mudra Rakshasam. Mudra Rakshasam, it also translated into Tamil language and also translated into Gujarati language. In the Gujarati, Melni Mudirekel. On the name of the Melni Mudirekel, this was written in the Tamil language. It was translated into Gujarati by Kesavlal Dhruv. He translated Mudra Rakshasa into Gujarati language. And there was a movie also on this Mudra Rakshasa, and a serial which was there in the TV serial, that is called as Kautilya serial, based on the Mudra Rakshasa. This is about the Mudra Rakshasam of Vishakadatta. Next, coming to the point of the Devi Chandraguptam. Devi Chandraguptam story already we discussed. Devi, Dhruva Devi, Chandragupta, he was Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II, he protected Devi from the Dhruva Devi from the Seka ruler, and finally these two got married. This was also a story, Devi Chandragupta. So after this Vishakadatta, next Sudraka. Sudraka, actually he was a king. Sudraka, he was a king as well as poet. He wrote Mruchakataka, a famous Sanskrit place contributed by him, Mruchakataka. He wrote Mruchakataka, that is the little clay cart, and also Vinavasavadatta, another book, Bana, a short act, that is a short an act, monologue, a very short film, like a short story. Padma Prabhutaka was also another book which was written by the Sudraka. These books we are knowing from the Rajasekara, who was the writer. He wrote Kavya Mimamsa. From Rajasekara's Kavya Mimamsa, he attributed that Rajasekara Kavya Mimamsa attributed that Mruchakatika was written by the Sudraka. Next, after the Sudraka, Harisena. We know that Harisena, he was a panegyrist. Panegyrist means the person who used to write eulogy. Eulogy means prasasti. That is Allahabad Prasasti. He was Sanskrit poet and also as well as government minister of the Samudragupta period. He wrote poems praising the bravery of Samudragupta, which is engraved on the Allahabad pillar inscription. He wrote Allahabad pillar inscription in Sanskrit. After the Harisena, Bhasa, he was a poet. He wrote Swapna Vasavadatta. Bhasha wrote Swapna Vasavadatta. Vasavadatta, originally she was a wife of Udayana. Vasavadatta was wife of Udayana. Udayana, he was king of Vatsa kingdom. Vatsa kingdom. Vasavadatta, she was a daughter of Pradyota, who was the king of Avanti. So Vasavadatta, she got a dream regarding Udayana, that is Swapna Vasavadatta, dream of Vasavadatta. And along with this Swapna Vasavadatta, Bhasha wrote 13 plays which echo the lifestyle of the Gupta era. All these concentrated on the lifestyle of the Gupta's period. It also speaks about the culture of the Gupta's period. Next, Bharavi. Bharavi wrote Kiratarjuniyam. He wrote Kiratarjuniyam, which talks about the conversation of Shiva. It talks about the conversation of Shiva and Kiratarjuniya. An epic style kavya is considered to be among the greatest works of the Sanskrit. Kiratarjuniya, it was a book deals with a war between the Arjuna and Lord Shiva in the form of Kirata. Kirata, the name of the Lord Shiva. And he waged war with the Arjuna. That was the Kiratarjuniyam. Next, another Bhatti. Bhatti, he wrote Bhatti Kavya. This Bhatti Kavya, it is also called as Ravanavada. This book was written by the Bhatti. Another person, Magha. Magha, he wrote Sisupala Vada. Sisupala book was written by the Magha. Originally, Magha belongs to the 7th century AD. After this, another works during the time of the Gupta's period, it is regarding as the one of the Sanskrit Mahakavyas, Bhatti Kavyam. Dandi wrote Dasakumara Charitra and also Kavya Darshana. These two were the famous works written by the Dandi. Dasakumara Charitra, that means the tale of 10 princes, which represents the adventure of the 10 princes. After this, Bhartruhari was one of the, he was believed to be a king, Bhartruhari, and he wrote Niti Sataka. Bhartruhari Niti Sataka. It has, Sataka means 100. Here, Sataka means 100. 100 verses was written by the Bhartruhari. That is Niti Sataka. And he wrote Niti Sataka and also Vakya Padiya, a treatise of the Sanskrit grammar. It speaks about the Sanskrit grammar. Another person, Ishwara Krishna. Ishwara Krishna, he wrote Sankhya Karika. It was a major work, Sankhya Karika, on the Sankhya philosophy. It was the observation of Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy, it was one of the 6 schools of the philosophy. Sankhya, Nyaya, Vaisesika, and what is that? Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, like that. There are 6 philosophical schools. Next, Vyasa. Vyasa written Vyasa Bhashya. He wrote Vyasa Bhashya. It was a work on the yoga philosophy. And Vatsyayana, he was the author of the Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya Sutra Bhashya. Vatsyayana wrote Nyaya Sutra Bhashya and also Kama Sutra. Nyaya Sutra Bhashya is regarded as the first commentary on Gautama's Nyaya. Here you can find there are some commentaries on the philosophical works. Sankhya Karika, it was a commentary on the Sankhya philosophy. Vyasa Bhashya, it was a commentary on the yoga philosophy. Vatsyayana's Nyaya Sutra, it was a commentary on the Nyaya Sutras. Gautama, he produced the Nyaya, that is 6 philosophical schools. Sankhya, Nyaya, Vaisesika, Yoga, Purva Mimamsha and Uttara Mimamsha. All these 6 philosophical schools. All these 6 philosophical schools were also become very famous during the time of the Gupta's period. So this is about the literature, development of the literature of Gupta's period. Next to, along with this, some scientific works also, scientific literature also done during the Gupta's period. Aryabhatta wrote Aryabhattiyam, and also Surya Siddhantika. Aryabhattiyam, Surya Siddhantika. These 2 books was written by the Aryabhatta. Varaha Mihira, he wrote Bruhat Samhita. And also he wrote Bruhat Jataka, Varaha Mihira. Brahmagupta wrote Brahma Siddhanta. He was considered as Indian Newton. Aryabhattiyam, Surya Siddhantaka, Bruhat Jataka, Bruhat Samhita, Brahma Siddhantaka, all these books are on the astrology. These books are on astrology and astronomy of Gupta's period. This is about the literature of Gupta's period. In the next class, we will discuss architecture of the Gupta's period. Okay, good luck to you all.